Good morning. Welcome. My name is Angela. It is Sunday, July 13th. Welcome to the live stream. Rahul is here. Hello, Rahul. Welcome. Happy to see you. It's a beautiful day. I'm so excited to be here. I have to tell you that this morning when I woke up, no, not that. What are we doing here? This morning when I woke up, I was not feeling, okay, let me rephrase this. Yesterday when we ended, I was not super excited about what we had done yesterday, but then I woke up this morning and I looked at it and I am in love. I love what we did today. Why didn't I like this? It's awesome. It's gorgeous. I love it. I'm so excited today for what we're going to work on. Oh, and Rahul is in a different time zone. You are in Nepal, so it is evening. So good evening, Rahul. Monique is here. Greetings to all from a rainy East Coast. I think that you are getting the rain that we just had in the Twin Cities because it's a very, it's not super hot. It's like kind of mild, but muggy. And we're having some air quality issues, which usually means there are some like forest fires in Canada blowing down into Minnesota. That's usually what it means. I just know that when I woke up this morning, and I have air conditioning, I have central air, but when I woke up this morning, I could smell like a smoky smell, and you can really smell it when you go outside. So, yeah, so that's that. So there's your weather report. Anyways, hey, do me a favor. If you haven't yet, go ahead and like the video. I would appreciate it. If you are not subscribed yet, I would also appreciate if you did that as well. Because we would love to have you. On this channel, we do front-end development. I am a software engineer and front-end developer in St. Paul, Minnesota. And we practice vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript on this channel. And we have been working on this landing page called Hilltop. And this is part of a collection that I have from my freelancing days. When I used to just go out and buy Photoshop mockups of websites to help me get started when I was doing new designs and new builds for my clients. And they were so, I can't even tell you how many times I used something like this to get me started. And they're really a blank slate, right? This is what I would call a low fidelity mockup because we don't really see any branding here. So if you have a client with branding, or if you did the branding for your client, you could take something like this and you could easily put in their content, their images, and their branding. So I think I have hundreds of these in my collection, and I thought, what a perfect thing to stream. What a perfect thing to show new front-end developers or anybody who just loves front-end, that all you need is an index.html and a style.css, and you could just sit and practice and get good at this, or you could use it for your own client work. So everything that I do on this channel is open source. There's usually a link in the description to a GitHub repository. You are welcome to use it in any project, personal or commercial. It's all open source. I don't really put any restrictions on the license because we're here to make money. We're here to do work and earn a living, right? And I want to give back to this community. So here we are. Yesterday when we ended the stream, I said that I wanted to work on navigation today, the responsive navigation today. I changed my mind. What I actually want to do is get into the rest of the layout of this site. That is really what I would prefer to do. So that's what we're going to do today. And then we'll jump into responsive stuff. My process is that I kind of do one thing at a time, right? HTML, then the CSS, and I have this very top to bottom approach. Then I go back in and do the responsive stuff. Then I'll go back in and do the JavaScript, and we'll add those click events and the DOM manipulation. It's just my process. It's just how I work. And I'm feeling a little anxious about the fact that we have not really styled this page yet. So I want to get in and get this layout locked in, and then we can start to work on responsiveness and any additional DOM manipulation. So that's what we're going to do. All right. Zoom back out a little bit here. And the great thing about some of these sections is that we basically have 1, 2, 3 sections that are identical. And we were very intentional with our HTML about making sure that once we style the first section, we're going to be able to lock in the layout for all 3 of those sections, and then we can just go back in and sort of tweak the things that are unique to those sections. So 1 second here. All right. And Go Elmo Go is here. Hope stream goes well. I am struggling with learning Docker, but it's moving along so far. Well, good luck. I have used Docker in the past, but it's been many years. It's been 4 or 5 years. I had to use it for a class when I was in school. So good luck. Also, big thank you to Monique Robinson and Go Elmo Go, who have graciously agreed to help out with chat moderation. Appreciate you guys. So thank you for that. All right. So let's go ahead. Where are we here? We have a lot. We have a lot going on. So here's our header. Here's our slider. And here is our 3 card section. So we have a content header, and then we have these content items, and this is what I was kind of thinking about when we were doing the HTML. So we're going to do a div with the class of wrap around just the articles. So because I am going to flexbox this, and then this will not be impacted by that. So let's start with our content header. Let's see here. And this is the three-card section. And I'm just going to start by sort of deciding now that I'm going to give every section some padding. So I'm going to go with 4 rems, and 4 rems, let's see. If a rem is 16 pixels, 4 times 16 is about 64 pixels on the top and bottom, and we'll adjust this if we need to. So I'm going to say 4 rems on the top, and I'm going to say 0 on the left and right for now, and I'm going to say a background color of white for now. And then we have our content header, and I'm not going to, kind of makes me think that we should put this up at the top. Yeah, let's put this up at the top with some of our more global styles, because this is something that we're going to continue to use all over. So I'm going to say a max width of 75 rems, margin, margin 0, auto to center it. That's pretty wide. Let's make the max width a character count instead. So what is it, 80 characters for accessibility, 80 CH. Yeah, that is far more readable. And then we're going to do the thing that I don't really love, but it's part of the design and it's actually totally appropriate, which is text align center. Let's make this a little bigger. There we go. Yeah. What else do we need to do here? And then just make the H2. So we'll say content header, secondary heading, text transform, uppercase, letter spacing. So for the logo, I did 5 pixels. That has a lot of letter spacing. So I think I'm going to do the same thing there, 5 pixels. I love it. I love it. We did a really good job picking this font, didn't we? I mean, I was totally eyeballing that. All right. So let's make sure that we have... I don't think I'm going to put any space under the content header. Well, let's just get this layout in place first. Okay, so these are like our global styles because we're using this everywhere, and that paragraph doesn't need any additional styles that I can see. That looks fine. Yeah, I love this font. I've never used this before. What is this again? Outfit. I really like it. I really like it. Okay. We're also going to do a global style for a wrap. That makes sense. So for wrap, I'm also going to do, or I'm going to do max width, 75 rems. And we're just going to do margin 0, auto. There we go. I'm starting as a front-end lead at a startup. I haven't led a team before, so I'm not very confident yet. Do you have any tips? Where do I start? Let me think about how I want to phrase this. I think my best advice is don't micromanage. I have a deep desire to micromanage people. So that was difficult for me. However, I did get to a point where I was just so darn busy that I didn't have time to micromanage. So I really needed people that could take initiative and be good problem solvers. I never expected the developers that I was leading to know how to do everything. On the contrary, what I expected was that they knew how to take the initiative and solve problems, because that's what being a developer really is you're a problem solver. I worked in an environment where everybody was a little bit responsible for their own requirements gathering. So when I was giving tasks to people or asking people to work on things, I didn't have all the requirements. I needed the developer, the junior developers, to take the initiative and do some requirements gathering. And some places operate differently. So you might be in an environment where your job is to complete tasks, right? In the environment that I was in, we needed people to be able to work really independently, and that included going out and like solving problems and asking questions. So it kind of I think my best advice is go with the flow. Try not to micromanage. Try to stress that the expectation is about solving problems and not knowing everything. Give your developers the time and the space to ask questions. Don't give them all the answers. Point them in the right direction. And stay on top of the calendar as best you can. That's my best advice. I think you can do it, Rahul. You've been here for a couple of weeks. You put a lot of information in the chat, especially yesterday. I was editing the stream from yesterday. And I was like, wow, like he's clearly extremely knowledgeable. He's like super engaged in the process. So you definitely know what you're doing. Let your confidence, if you are not confident as a leader, which is totally normal if it's your first time in a leadership role, if you're not confident as a leader, try to transfer your energy to your confidence as a developer, because from what I've seen, you very clearly know what you're talking about in terms of development. So lean into that. And I think you'll be okay. You seem to have a very easygoing personality. So let your personality be part of your one of your good leadership qualities, right? You can do it. I believe in you. I think you're going to be great. And congratulations, by the way. Congratulations. Hopefully you can come back and let us know how things are going. Okay, so my instinct for the wrap is to put in a bunch of Flexbox stuff, but I'm actually not going to do that. I am going to do whenever I do like global Flexbox styles, I almost always regret it because I have to change something specific to that section. So the only thing I'm going to do for the wrap is something kind of generic. This is it. And then I'm going to pretty much just do the Flexbox that I want for each section. So for better or worse, here we are. So 3-card section, wrap. We'll say display flex flow, row, no wrap. Justify content. We're going to do space between so we get that first and last item right up against the edge. Align items. I am going to do flex start. I think that's fine. And let's go ahead and do a gap of 1 rem. And then 3-card section, content, item. Whoops. I'm going to do a width of 100% minus 2 rems. Divided by 3. There we go. We love it. Okay, so the other thing that I noticed, how did I not know this? Let me make this a little bigger. I was thinking to myself, I should put this in Affinity Photo. I don't use Photoshop anymore. I use Affinity Photo, but you can still put Photoshop documents into Affinity Photo. And I was like, I guess I could put this in Affinity Photo and like actually take some measurements. Here's what I discovered. I'm just using the preview app on Mac that I can actually draw and get the dimensions. So it's pretty small. I don't know if you can see it, but it's about 370 by 315-ish. Yeah, 370 by 315. So I don't want to put in pixel values for the images because we're using Flexbox to define our containers, our articles. But what I do want is I want this aspect ratio without defining that pixel value. So I did the math. Hang on, let me show you here. I did the math, which is 370 divided by 315 is, I think it might be backwards. It's 1.17. So that's our ratio. So here's our figure. So I'm going to do image. And I think we already took off the margin on all of the figures, didn't we? Yeah, right there. So I'm going to do with the 100%, whoops, height auto, aspect ratio 1.17 to 1. And I think that's all we need to do. And let's make sure that we've got some specificity here. 3-card section. And then our image is going to be width 100%, height 100%, object fit, cover. Beautiful. Look at that. Gorgeous. It's gorgeous. How do you not love CSS? How do you not love front-end development? So we do need to make sure that we've got a little something something on the left and right here. I think we could probably just put, probably the best thing to do is to just put a little padding on the left and right of our main section where we're adding padding to the top and bottom. Thanks. Yeah, I'm getting better at this. Here's what I've learned about, I've learned so many things streaming. I needed the practice. I needed the practice. I'm so grateful for that I've set aside this dedicated practice time. So let's just take a peek. Because I've gotten better in the last year. I was already pretty good. I've gotten so much better in the last year at just being cleaner and more thoughtful, because as a working developer, especially in a leadership position, I spent a tiny fraction of my time actually doing this. And I was out of practice, really, really, really out of practice. So I'm just incredibly grateful. You clearly love CSS. Try using Grid too. You might be surprised. I absolutely will use Grid. In fact, I don't know what the next project's going to be, but for whatever the next project is, we will 100% use Grid. I promise we're going to do it. So, okay. Whoops. There we go. Okay. What else do we need to do here? So let's make sure, let's just go ahead and add, I guess, some margin to the bottom of our we'll just go ahead and add a little margin here. So what's 3 times 16? Trying to be a little more intentional. 3 times 16. So if we do 3 rems, that's 48 pixels. There, perfect. That looks nice and balanced. Okay, so our headers, these are our H3s. The spans are pretty big. This is a little bit smaller. The other thing that I'm really noticing about vanilla CSS is how much more intentional I am with my specificity. It's cleaner. I think it's really easy in Sass to get super, super nested and just have these really, really long, super specific elements. And this to me is just feeling cleaner and a lot more intentional. So I kind of like that. Okay, so our content description. I kind of want this tertiary heading style to be associated with the 3-card description, the 3-card section. So I'm going to say font size. Where are we here? So the font size is 1.17 ems. I don't think I'm actually going to change the font size. Let's go ahead and text transform, uppercase. We'll do some letter spacing. We'll see how 5 pixels looks. And then I think we just need to make sure this span is a little bit bigger. So we'll do a font size here. Let's try 2.5 rems. And I think it needs some margin on the right. We'll do we are running out of room a little bit there. There's 100%. Let's take this down. 0.5. I mean, we should make sure that if it wraps, it's okay. We'll do 2.5. And let's just do a font size of 1 rem. There we go. Yeah, actually that looks pretty good. But let's make sure that if it wraps, it still looks good. Because once it gets handed over to the content creators, anything could happen. So, okay, let's just tighten up this line height a little bit. So the line height is defaulting to 1.65. And you can see here that because we have that span, which is a little bit bigger, it's giving it more space here. Which I don't think is the end of the world, but yeah, it's treating that first. That's interesting. The first line height is different because of what's happening here. Oh, well, let's just change the line height of the span. There. So we make the span line height 1, and then we make this line height, well, there we go. All we have to do is change the line height of the span, and that normalizes the line height for everything. Love it. Whoop. Beautiful. We love that. Okay, so let's, I think our text looks great. Our paragraph text looks great. Our titles look great. Ooh, what's happening to the rest? Oh, we don't have the things in. So let's put our wraps in. Let's put the wraps in, and we're going to magically see all of our other sections come to life. It's our dark section. So we're going to do div.wrap. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful. All right, let's fix up our links here. So our links are, let's see here, where were we? Right here. So it is the content link. So we don't really have styles for that. That's fine. So we'll take off the text decoration. None. I'm going to make these uppercase. Text trans, whoops. We'll do a little bit of letter spacing, 1.5 pixels. And the color can be let's just do, I'm dying to use this maroon. I can't seem to figure out a good way to use it though, because it looks so dark. Oh, that looks pretty good. Actually, I like that. And let's take out the word about. And we'll make sure that if that wraps, that looks okay. All right. And then what do we have here? So I'm just going to go ahead and flexbox this. Oh, why not? And we do want it to wrap. Justify content, flex start. And align items, also flex start. Well, no, center. And then 3-card section, content link, SVG. Did I set the SVGs? So let's add SVG display block by default. Kind of like images. And you know what else I think I'm going to do? Just going to make the figures. Just going to make the figures all margin 0. That just makes so much more sense to me as our base styles. Now we can do width. I'm just going to start out with 20. Well, we should probably use rems. No, I think it's okay to use pixels for this. And then these all say current color, which I think means it'll inherit the color from the link. That's what I think that means. Yeah, I love it. And let's give it a little space. So let's give it a little, well, let's do it right. Let's give it some gap. There we go. Let's let's move this arrow in a little more to the left, and then on hover, the arrow will transition a little bit. Yeah, I think so too. The maroon is a good contrast. I really like it. We could also, we could on hover do a border. So when you hover on it, the arrow like moves and you see a border. You know what else we could do? We could make these numbers maroon. I kind of like that. I like that. All right, so I've already done this once. I have to remember how to do it. So when we hover on the link, we want to transform the SVG. I'm gonna look, hang on, I want to go look at, where did I do this? I think I did this on right here, but did I take that out? I did it on the home page. Let's actually look at it. I can't remember if I think it was this. Yeah, I think that the arrow on hover with the box would be good. Agreed. Emilio is here. Hello, Emilio. Happy to see you. Emilio has also agreed to be a mod for the channel. Thank you so much, Emilio. Right here. This is what I want to do. So forgive me. I'm just going to take a little peek. Just going to take a little peek and refresh my memory on how I did this. So I do have, am I changing the color? So the transition is on the SVG, but when we hover on the link, that triggers the SVG. So let's up a little bit. So it's really this right here. So the transition goes on the SVG. Yes, so transform, translate X0. And then we're going to transition this. We're going to transition the transform. I almost always do 300 milliseconds, ease in, out. And then we're going to do this right here. Ooh. We'll do this, and then when we hover, we're going to trigger the SVG. And we're going to do this 3 times. And it's going to be hover, active, focus. And then we will do transform. And I think 8 pixels. 8 pixels, which is 0.5 rems. And our gap, our gap is, I'm going to change that to 0.5. Let's see if this works. There we go. We could also, I honestly don't think we need to do anything else. Let's get a little closer. I think the arrow is a little too big. And we can change this to rems. Oops. Hang on. 24 divided by 16 is 1.5. So let's just do 1.25. Yeah. I love it. Those are our links, subject to change if we feel like it. And then look at this section, practically done. We just have to make some modifications to the text. This section also very close to being done. And we are working on all of the sections, Emilio. We are working on all of the sections. I really want to get as much of this done today as possible. So, all right, next section is the dark section. Right here. So this, I would say, is kind of like a 800 by 500. What's the aspect ratio? I can't believe I didn't know that trick. 800 divided by 500. So that's 1.6 to 1. 1.6 to 1 is our aspect ratio. So I don't think this necessarily has a wrap. I see this as being divided into two equal containers. And then I see this block of text as maybe having a max width as a character limit, not this container having a max width. So let's just go ahead and divide this section right in half, and I don't think we need like a wrap around the section. That's going to be my approach. I am always prepared to be wrong. So this is the dark section. Let's just collapse this. Dark section, we'll do padding. 4 rems on the top and bottom, 1 rem on the left and right, and then we'll go ahead and do a background color. And we're going to use black. That means our text color is going to be white. And that means we're also going to put, well, the dark section doesn't have a content heading, so we can put display flex right on this container. Display flex, flex flow, row. I'm going to say row no wrap, just to be on the safe side. Space between, or excuse me, justify content. I think for justify content, I'm going to do space evenly because that could help us. That could help us with the alignment. And then align items, flex start. And then this is container 1. This is container 2. Oops. So dark section, image. We're going to just say width 50%. So we are going to need padding inside the containers to kind of center things. Padding or margin, yeah, that makes sense if I'm going to cut that section in half. So width 50%, height auto, aspect ratio 1.6, whoops, to 1. Oh, but that's the entire figure, isn't it? So I think that I do need a div around this. Yeah, because that's the entire figure. So let's just do div with the class of image wrap. Whoops. So this needs to be image wrap. So width 50%, that's all we need for that, I think. Dark section. Now we do the image. And this would be width 100%, height auto aspect ratio, dark section image, and then this would be width 100%, height 100%, and then object fit cover. Is that really 50%? Hang on. Dark section, image wrap. Dark section, image wrap. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing here. What is that? With 50%. Well, let's get the content description. And then this should also be 50%. Is that why it doesn't? There we go. Perfect. Okay. Now, so now I think we can just add a little bit of padding inside this container. So I'm just going to say padding. I'm going to say 0 on the top and bottom and 3 rums on the left and right. Yeah. And then for the width on the content description, yeah, I want the container to be 50%, but let's just do the same thing. Padding, 0 on the top and bottom, 3 rums on the left and right. And that's actually all, I think that's all we need to do. This is a huge monitor. This is a 27-inch monitor. So I wouldn't expect everybody to be looking at it like this. Let's go ahead and align this. So align items would be center. And then we can put more content in here. Ooh, too much. There we go. And then I think for our SVG, I don't know if it's fill or stroke. I think it's fill. There we go. Oh, it looks weird, doesn't it? Should we use, it's a little bright. It's decorative, so it can be any color. Let's try yellow. I don't like that either. Yeah, I guess that's white. Maybe it just needs to be a little smaller. Let's try using the light gray, which will just be a little warmer. Although it looks weird, but I'm not going to worry about it. We could also make this a different color because this does pass accessibility if we use this yellow against this background. So we can make that a different color if we want to. And it should be text transform and maybe have a little letter spacing too. So this is the secondary heading. Put it right here. We might also have a bunch of margin here. We do. So I'm going to take the margin off the top. Clearly, this is not all responsive yet. So we'll definitely adjust some of this padding when we get into our responsive styles. I'm going to do 0 on the top, 0 on the left and right, and just 1 rem on the bottom. And then we'll do text, transform, uppercase, and letter spacing, 5 pixels. I do like it. I hate the signature. I don't like the signature. It just looks really weird. Unless I can just find a different color, because it just doesn't look right to me. It's decorative, so I have to, I'm just telling myself I don't need to worry about accessibility. Because we do have we do have text in here to represent what that is. Although yes, Emilio, CSS is fun. I mean, I don't know how you don't love this. I remember always doing it without a live server and then forgetting to update and wondering why nothing else is working. Agreed. And we have a new subscriber. Welcome. Happy to have you. Welcome. We practice our HTML and CSS every weekend. Glad you could join us. I am not going to worry about this SVG for now. We're just going to sit with it. We're just going to sit with it. Clearly, we need to adjust padding here, and we will. We will. We're just locking in these desktop base styles. So, as far as I'm concerned, we're done with the dark section. Let's move on. And I might also come back and do something with this image. Like maybe we could put a border around it or in the background or something. I think this clearly was meant to be a screenshot or a portfolio image of some type. So we'll think of a way to jazz it up. All right. Let's lock in what we need to do here, which is that we're going to center these. And then this is a serif. So this is a 3-card. Let's see here what we have to do differently. So this is a 3-card section. So let's, instead of trying to overwrite the styles that we already have, let's do this. Let's add a class. So if we know that this particular section needs to be centered, let's just add a class of center. So we'll come right here. We'll do 3-card section. And then we'll do content, description, center. And we'll just say text align. Whoops. Center. Nothing. Oh, yep, that. We have to add it to all of them. We have to add it to all of them. Oh, and we have another new subscriber. Thank you so much, Fatih Muhammad. Hello, new subscriber. Nice to see you. Happy to have you as well. I also follow you on LinkedIn. Accept my invitation. I will do that. I will go look this afternoon after we're done with the stream. I check LinkedIn about once a week or so. So I will definitely, I will accept your invitation. Thank you for letting me know, and thank you for the reminder. And also, if there's anybody here yet who hasn't liked the video, do me a favor and like the video. Acknowledge the video. It's the polite thing to do when you go over to somebody's house. And if you're not a subscriber yet, I would love to have you. We do all front-end development on this channel. We practice HTML and CSS every weekend, vanilla JavaScript. And yeah, we just try to have some fun. We just try to have a little bit of fun. And if you enjoy that type of content, I would love to have you. And of course, if you would like to have your message read out loud to the class, you can put it in the chat. I'm happy to do so. I also enjoy answering your questions. I've been a front-end developer for 12 years. I've been a freelancer, and I love answering people's questions. So if you have any questions for me, let me know. Okay, so our little H3s look great. I'm just going to go ahead and change this to our serif font. So I think that we should give this a class of like serif. I think that is the easiest way to handle it. Now we can come right over here. Three-card section. You know what we could do? This is making more, I'm thinking about this now. Let's just do some global styles. Let's just do some global styles. So instead of something like this, let's do something like this. Let's say that if we add a class of serif to something, that means the font family is this. And let's say that if we add a class of center to something, that means that we want to text align center. Look at that. And I'm also going to say font style italic, because that is everything in the we don't have a ton of serif fonts, but everything in the mockup that is serif is italicized. I think it's literally those two things. Oh, our dates are italicized and serif. Yeah. So let's just do that. And I think also the color is a little lighter gray. So let's check the accessibility on this. I don't think that mid-tone gray is accessible, but let's check. So if our background color is white, this is our mid-tone gray. That is not accessible. So let's figure out what is. That is the wrong direction. So I think we want to go in the other direction. Is that still the wrong direction? A, B, C, D, E, F. Yeah, F is the wrong direction. Hang on. Let's do. All right, so that meets double A, not triple A, but it does meet double A, and it's a little slightly lighter. So let's add that to our list. So we'll do dark gray. And you are truly an impressive and respectable woman. I'm a senior WordPress developer and have recently started learning full stack development. Looking forward to connecting with you. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You know, it's always nice when people think you're respectable, right? Yeah, I'm happy to connect with you on LinkedIn. No problem. I don't do WordPress anymore, but I started my career as a WordPress developer, so I do have a little bit of history there. It's a great platform. I just decided to go in a different direction. That's all. I like that. So this is very subtle. It is very subtly lighter gray. And we can confirm here that we are still meeting the minimum double A accessibility. So that is what I care about. I think we just need to tighten up our margin a little bit. Yeah, I think we just need to tighten up our margin a little bit right here. So the 3-card section, tertiary heading. So if I change the margin here, that is going to change the margin here. So I think I'm actually not going to change the margin. I'm just going to leave it as is. Boom. That's done. Let's skip down to this right here, and then we can kind of close the loop on the 3-card section. And then we'll jump back up. Can the italic font be a little larger under Heidi Holden? Let's see here. So right now it's one, hang on. So right now it's 100%, which is 16 pixels. It does look a little small, doesn't it? So if we change that to font size 1.1 rem, actually that's not a bad change. That's a good suggestion. I like it. Because I think that serif font does look a little small, excuse me, doesn't it? I like it. A little tricky, little tricky to read, agreed. Let's see how it looks bold. Let's see how it looks bold. Font weight, we've got a couple to choose from, so we doesn't have to be like super bold. 500, 600. I don't love that. I don't love that. So I'm going to keep it, I think I'm just going to keep it font weight normal. But we did bump it up a little bit. I think that was a great suggestion. So that is the equivalent of 17.6 pixels. That looks good. Agreed. All right, so for this, we're going to do the same thing. We want to center our titles, and we're going to center our date time. Well, we're going to center everything here. So let's close this. Close, close, close. So here we are going to center these, and we are going to this, well, I'm actually going to do this here. I'm going to center this. There we go. Agreed. Just a little too beefy sometimes, those serif fonts when they're bolded. So this already looks pretty good. So we also have to add serif to our... That was a good idea, if I do say so myself. There we go. And then these category titles are uppercase, little bit of font spacing. They have an underline. They do look a little small, but I'm not going to decrease the size because I want it to be a minimum of, 1 rem, 16 pixels. So this is the article category inside the 3-card section. Article category. Text transform, uppercase, letter spacing. I'm going to do 1.5 pixels. And then this has a, we could just do, I'm going to do a border bottom because that's just what I'm comfy with. border bottom 2 pixels solid, and then I am going to do this mid gray. And I think I am almost positive we're going to need to add a little bit of padding on the bottom. So 0, 0, 1 rem. Well, I think we're going to need it on the top and bottom. I think we're going to need more than 1 on the top. I think we're going to need 2. And I'll put 1 on the bottom. Oops. It's fine. We can fix it. So paragraphs are block level elements. But we can do this. Oops, right here. Look at the wrong thing. Oh. Right here. This is a block level element. That's totally fine. So I'm going to do, this is where I'm going to do display inline block. And then we can just do, usually what I do is like margin left 50%, and then I do transform, translate x minus 50%, and then that centers it. So it's still a block level element, and then this is the best way to center it. So and then I think 1 is a little too, and then I'm going to make this a lot lighter as well. Okay, let's remember all of this. Let's do yellow instead. Ooh, I love it. Let's do a bigger, I'm kind of thinking we might need a bigger gap. A bigger gap might, yeah. Let's do a little, just experiment with a bigger gap. So if we do a gap of 2, then that would be 4. Let's see how that looks. That looks a little, yeah, that looks a little better. There we go. And that gives it a little more defined. I love it. I love it. What is your opinion about WordPress development, and what do you think about its future? Well, I mean, let me think. Give me 1 second here. 1 second. Okay. So I personally didn't love being a WordPress developer, because I saw, and it's not, what I'm about to say is not that it's right or wrong, or that I think it's good or bad. It was simply the direction that I did not want to go into. I did not want to continue in this direction with my career. I wanted to be a front-end developer in sort of the truest sense, not tied to any particular ecosystem or framework. Or WordPress is very much an ecosystem, right? And it was how I got, if it wasn't for WordPress, I don't know if I'd be a developer at all, because the barrier to entry was very low. It was very much it was just an easy thing for me to learn, and it really got me into it. And I don't think I would be here if I hadn't discovered WordPress at all. But after a certain point, I saw WordPress going into this direction of being like as friendly to non-developers as possible. And I understood why they did that. It was because WordPress.com, the paid version of WordPress, wanted to market WordPress and like build a business and make money. And it's incredibly powerful, and something like 20% of the internet runs on WordPress. So I totally understood that. But it was turning into a thing where it was like drag and drop and like page builders and things like that. And I was, the kind of people who wanted to hire me were people who were just like, wanted me to like go on the back end of WordPress and build pages with a page builder. And I was like, I hate this. I like HTML and CSS. I mean, clearly what I love doing is actually writing HTML and CSS. And I also love JavaScript, and I wanted to learn frameworks, and I do know frameworks. I don't hate frameworks at all. My channel is about not using frameworks, but I spent the last 7 years in Vue. I've built 2 Angular apps. I love frameworks. So I wanted to be a developer who was writing code, not a developer who was dragging and dropping elements around on a page. I also personally was really frustrated. And again, this was just the ecosystem 8 years ago. I'm sure it's different, but page caching for WordPress was non-existent 8 years ago, in my opinion. There weren't good solutions for caching. So marketplaces like Theme Forest were selling these big, heavy, bloated premium WordPress themes with so many options. And every time you hit a page, it's just querying the database constantly to check for options. And caching, they didn't have good solutions for caching 8 years ago when I was in it and trying to get out of it. So I found clients wanting me to implement these big, bulky, bloated premium themes because they didn't really want to pay for custom design, and performance was a real issue in my opinion. And I was tired of dealing with that. I just didn't want to deal with that. So I very specifically stopped freelancing because I just wanted to be a front-end developer. That was my experience. That was sort of my opinion. I still have clients who are on WordPress because I built them WordPress sites, and they're still with me, and I maintain those sites, and it's a fine experience. I have no issues with it. But yeah, moving forward, I'm just not super excited about being a WordPress developer. So no shade to anybody who wants to do that. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I don't know if that's more or less than what you were expecting or bargaining for. So if you are building a career as a WordPress developer and you enjoy it, and you're working and earning a good living, I think you should do it. Keep doing what you're doing. There's room for everybody here. Can you use BEM naming convention to be easy to figure out element relation between each other? I don't know what that means. BEM naming convention. Oh, let's check this out. BEM is a popular naming convention for CSS class names that we use widely here at Sparkbox. Okay. It communicates purpose or function. It communicates component structure. It sets a consistent low level of specificity. Block element modifier. Block. The outermost parent element of the component is defined as the block element inside the component. Maybe one or more children called elements. Modifier. Yeah, I mean, this looks like, don't use the, I mean, I don't specifically follow this convention. Oh, don't do this. I mean, yeah, I guess I could do this. I wasn't aware that this was an actual thing. So this is I'm learning something new here. Yeah, I could work on, I mean, if you would like to see an example of this, I could do this in the next project. I have to tell you, my approach to how I name classes is just to come up with class names that make sense to me. So I don't think there's a right or a wrong, I don't think there's a right or a wrong way to do it. Smacks is what I like. I mean, I think of Smacks when I'm writing CSS because I was introduced to Smacks very early in my career. I started when I started in 2010, 2011, and I was introduced to Smacks. So I kind of have Smacks in my head when I'm naming things. I am wildly imperfect when I use class names. I just try to name things in a way that makes sense to me. So when I look at it, I'm like, yeah, I know what that is. So, but I will for sure, I will read up on BEM. I didn't know that BEM was a thing. I'm hearing about this for the first time today. It makes sense. And yeah, I could definitely read up on this and be a little more intentional with this. I love Smacks though. At one point I had this ebook. I mean, I think it's free now, but I think Smacks is great. So yeah, see, it's a good name as long as I remember it. I mean, that's kind of the direction that I go in as well. So, all right, moving on. So, our three main sections are done. I love it. I love it. So let's get this center section, this right here, our featured work section. So this is our overlay hover section. And our header is already implemented. So I'm going to give this 4 rems of padding on the top and bottom, 1 on the left and right, and I'm going to give this a background color of a light gray. And then all of these images are just going to be an aspect ratio of 1:1. Oh, they are a little bit different, aren't they? 475 by 460. 475 by 460. 1.03. All right. So here's our container. I'll say space between, but I'm not going to set a gap. And we'll say align items. I'm going to say stretch, even though it might not really matter. I guess we could set a gap of 0. And then we have our overlay item. But I'm going to set the aspect ratio on the figure because we have other plans for the article. Oh, but we do need to make sure that the overlay item the width is just going to be 25% because there's just 4 things. Oh, and we don't want padding on the left and right, so we'll have to put it in a different place if we need it. There we go. So 1.03 to 1. So width. Look at that. We love it. And then I'm a little bit undecided on this overlay. I mean, I know what they're trying to do here because this was very popular back in, 2017 when this was built. Here's the thing though about content that relies on a hover. On mobile, you don't hover, you tap. And what here is an indication that you even should tap if you come to this on mobile. So I want to implement this. I know how to do it. It looks cool, but there's a reason why you don't really see this anymore, right? Because it's not super accessible. There's no real indication here to tell people like, hey, you're supposed to hover. And I'm guessing that that's what this functionality is, that you hover on this and you suddenly see content. So, yeah. This is a good question for ChatGPT. Let's ask ChatGPT. I'm building a Photoshop mockup from 2017 where there's an image and on hover text appears. I'm questioning the accessibility and that on mobile there's no hover, only a tap. What should my modern approach be? In 2017, hover-only interactions were common in mockups, but today we know that hover is not enough. Modern best practices account for accessibility, keyboard and on-screen, keyboard plus screen reader users, touch support for mobile tablets, clear, consistent UX. Here's a modern approach. Let's say you have an image with overlay text that appears on hover. The interaction should also work on focus and click tap, which it would. Okay, this is roughly what I have. CSS for hover, focus, and touch. Optional, click to toggle overlay for mobile. If the overlay holds more info or needs to stay open for interaction, you could do a JavaScript enhancement. Accessibility considerations, keyboard. Okay, so it's basically saying that as long as I make sure that there's keyboard support, meaning if you're tabbing through, it receives focus, and that it's got touch support, which basically it would. Bonus thought, if the overlay shows text like view details and the whole image is a link, maybe that text doesn't need to be hidden at all. You could design it to always show for clarity. Okay. So you're saying that as long as I have keyboard support, whoops. As long as I have keyboard support for focus and tap support for mobile, it's okay to implement. I can do that. My concern is, how do users even know to hover at all, let alone tap? I think this is outdated. So making sure there's technical accessibility doesn't mean it's the correct approach, right? Exactly. Technical accessibility, keyboard focus, screen reader semantics, mobile tap support is the baseline. But discoverability and clear UX are what actually make it usable. You're asking the right question. How do users even know to hover or tap? That's the core problem with hover to reveal patterns today, especially when there's no visual cue that something is interactive. The content revealed is essential, not just decorative. It's only visible on certain devices or behaviors. So yes, hover-only UIs are outdated. Here's the updated thinking. Yeah, the interactive area, like a card or an image, has a clear visual affordance. Overlay text is always visible, or there's a visible icon button. optionally, a subtle hover effect enhances it but isn't required. Yeah, focus visible is very powerful. I was thinking I would use something like maybe target or focus within or something like that. Yeah. So here's what I'm questioning. I really don't want to do this. I think what I would like to do is we could do something like what we did in the banner, which is that we made sure our text had something behind it with a tiny bit of opacity. And I do think that I'm pushing my luck a little bit, but I know that this is still acceptable. So let's do something like this. Let's do something like this. And then we could also, on hover, we could maybe like zoom the image a little bit, right? So we're going to do something a little bit different from the mockup. So here's the entire article. Here is the content. So we're going to make, I think we could just make the overlay item position relative. And then let's take the item content and just and we'll go ahead and do position absolute. I'm going to do top 50%, left 50. And then I'm going to do transform, translate negative 50% on the x-axis, negative 50% on the y-axis. And then let's make sure this has a z-index of 0, and we'll make sure this just has a z-index of 1. And let's hope we don't get ourselves into trouble like we did yesterday. No, look at this is perfect. This is perfect. I love it already. I love it already. I don't like hiding text. And how would the user ever know to come and hover on this image? I mean, I suppose you could put like an icon there or something and hope that they're like, oh, what is that? Should I hover on that? I like this a lot better. So now we have, so let's add a little bit of padding. And we'll do a background color. We'll do RGBA. So we'll do 255. And I think I did 75%. I love it. I love it. And then let's do the yellow border like we did up top. Right here, people, we're thinking. We're doing it together. We're thinking. And then let's go ahead and we'll just pop a pseudo class on there. And we learned yesterday, too late, that instead of fighting with z-index, you can just do pointer events none because it's purely decorative. So it's not going to interfere with anything. Although there's no action in here, there's no link in here. We could put a link in there to make it somewhat useful. We could definitely do that. So I'm going to do width. Do width calc 100% minus 1 rem, height calc 100% minus 1 rem, and then we're going to do border 2 pixels, solid yellow, and then this is position. Oops, hang on. Position absolute, top top left. I think this is 2. And then we'll just make sure this has z-index of 2. And I'm going to say, whoops, pointer events, none. I love it. I love it. So I think we do want to control the width a little bit though, don't we? I know, we're getting better together. All of us, we're getting better at this together. I hope you guys are practicing too. I hope that you're practicing too, or not. Maybe this is just your time when you are like, you know what? I'm just gonna chill a little bit. So yeah, I kind of like 70%. I kind of like 70%. And then it'll automatically, I think the height would just be, yeah, I'm not going to set a height, so it can just grow on its own, right? And then let's stick a link in there just to make sure that if some future wacky content creator comes along and adds links, that they'll actually work. This makes me happy. This makes me very, very happy. So let's do this. We'll just go ahead and add a link. Link goes here. Oop. Link. Yep, we still have access to that link there. Let's style that. We should probably do, should we just make all of our links? Let's just do a global style for all of our links. We haven't really done that, have we? Let's just make everything text decoration. Text decoration, none. Text transform, uppercase. Letter spacing, 1.5 pixels. And then what is our hover? Hover active focus. We could do maroon. I don't think this gold is accessible on a white on a white background. I don't think the gold was accessible. Yeah. Maybe we can just adjust it a little bit. Was anything? No. You know what we could do? Instead of changing the color, let's do border, bottom, 2 pixels, which means we need to make this display inline block. Rahul, yesterday you were asking me about display inline block. I definitely use it. So we'll do display inline block, border bottom, solid, far. Well, actually it would be transparent. Transparent. And then we will add we'll change it. There you go. That's our link. I think we have a little bit. I think we have a little too much letter spacing. Let's adjust this a little bit. I kind of, should we even, maybe we don't even do letter spacing, because if it's going to be a link inside text, the letters, there wouldn't be letter spacing. Yeah, I like this. We can just do this. Is that gonna, so we will need to adjust this to account for that. And that's fine. We can go back and adjust that. We're just going to do this. All right, I can't believe we didn't do styles for our links. I can believe we didn't do styles for our links. And then let's get our button. See? Oh, I do like this for the button too. Let's get our button situated. So I think for this, stop. we could also make this. Do we want to make these display inline block? Do we just want to make them? Do we want to make these display block? Or is it easier to just say on the paragraph, text align center? I think that's easier. So on the paragraph, we could just add a class of center and it will automatically center our button. And then we just need to push it down. So I think on our container, we can just add a little bottom to the bottom, little margin to the bottom of the container. Zero on top, 0 on the left and right, and I'm going to do 2 rems, which is about 32 pixels. A little more, a little more. I like it. What do we think? We did a great job today. We did a great job today. I was feeling a little bit, I was feeling very anxious about sort of feeling behind because we're now 4 streams into this project. And I just didn't feel like I had enough done. But I feel much, much more confident about how much we have done. Much more confident. And yesterday, after every stream, I take the video and I edit it. Because I want these projects to be like a project compilation that I release as soon as the project's done. That's how I'm approaching streaming now. So every Saturday and Sunday when I'm done, I'm also recording this separately from the stream. I immediately edit it and I edit out anything that is not directly related to the build. So I edit out most of the chat. I will edit this out and it will just be just building the landing page. And we were at just under 3.5 hours yesterday for what we got done, which is more than acceptable. It is more than acceptable to have gotten that much work done in 3.5 hours. So I'm assuming that this will be another 90 minutes or so after I edit this. It looks great. I love it. I love it. So next weekend, we need to finish the styles on Saturday. I expect that we will, this makes me so happy. This section makes me so happy that I did not implement that hover because I don't think that's the right way to do things anymore. And I used to do that all the time 10 years ago. That was a cool technique. I loved it. It's not accessible. It's not a good user experience. And this is totally in line with what we have going on up in the banner. And I think we could definitely add a hover where this zooms, right? Something that is like a user enhancement, but that is not a requirement for using the UI. So we can go ahead and do that next week. We also need to make sure that we style this is the testimonial section, and then we need to style our map and our form, and we need to style the footer. So that's the goal for Saturday next weekend. I want to look at the calendar here. So we have 2 weekends left. We have 2 weekends left. So we need to get all of the styling done next weekend. And I would say and get a very good start on responsiveness. I don't think we're going to get all the styling and all the responsiveness done next Saturday, but I think we can get all the styling done and get started on the responsiveness. And then if we could finish the responsiveness on the 26th, if we can finish responsive styles on the 26th, and then do on the 27th, our JavaScript. So the slider for the JavaScript for the slider in the hero and the testimonials, and then just the click events for like the navigation in the drawer, right? Because we don't really need a lot of if we didn't have the slider, the only JavaScript we would be writing would be just clicking the buttons to open the mobile navigation in the drawer. It is also nice to do like you are here navigation. So we'll want to make sure that our items have like, usually a border is what I do. So if you're if you know, well, and we were also going to implement like scrolling to each section. So let's make a list next weekend of the JavaScript that we know we need to implement so we can kind of keep that in mind. But I think next weekend we can for sure finish styling this whole thing and get a really, really good start on our responsive styles. And then, yeah. And you know what? If we have to continue styling into the first week in August, I don't think that's the end of the world. But I really want to push to get it done in the next 2 weekends. That's the goal. That's the goal. It's okay if we don't, but it's also good to have goals, right? How do you know what you're capable of unless you're setting goals and pushing yourself a little bit, right? Thank you to everybody who joined me this weekend and today to hang out and build along. I'm loving it. I think it looks really cool. I actually have a personal project in mind that I'm already thinking that when this is done, I'm gonna fork this and use it for a personal project that I have in mind. Um, so yeah, I really, really like it. I really like it. Um, let's go ahead and push this and make sure that our GitHub page is updated. Look at that. Index.html and style.css. That's it. That's it. Look at everything you can do with just those two things. Styles for the landing page. Boy, this is slow. Yeah, I've noticed the GitHub pages take a minute, these don't get updated right away. So they take a moment to deploy. All right, well, we'll check back. We'll check back. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I definitely feel like I feel like in a year of doing this, I feel the most organized and the most thoughtful of all my projects. Yeah, I do. Thank you, Monique. Thank you. You as well. I hope you have a great week. Yeah, I guess that's it. Everybody have a great rest of your day wherever you are. Have a great week. I will see you back here next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. I hope you have an amazing week wherever you are, and I will see you later. Bye.